Hey, this is NBA shooting coach Dave Love. Thank you very much for submitting your video for video shot analysis. We're going to spend probably about 10 or so minutes looking at some of the habits. We want to find good habits, and we're going to find good habits. But then we also want to find bad habits, and we need to kind of take that kind of attitude towards the videos where we need to find things that are actually causing misses, so that we can improve those habits so that we make more. And so don't feel bad about anything that, any habits that you might have that aren't ideal, because those are where the improvement's going to come from. So follow along with me. We're going to start by looking at your feet. I love the width of your feet. What I always tell players is I want the insides of your feet to be wide enough to fit your hips in between, and you're there. This is going to give you that stability when you're moving sideways on the on cuts, or when you're rotating, to be able to stop that that energy. I like that your feet are pointed at the target. This is going to help you create energy at the hoop, okay, rather than creating energy away from the hoop. And then I like the symmetry in your legs. So your legs are actually being used pretty well together. You're not using one more than the other significantly. So off to a great start. Then we're checking the finishing position. As you get older, try and jump up and down in the same spot a little bit more, and not so much towards the target. Changing the distance of the shot as you're shooting the shot makes it just that much harder to hit the target. It's probably necessary at your age right now and your strength level to jump forward a little bit on those longer shots, and that's fine. But as we grow, we want to transfer some of that that gained strength into simplifying the shot. So as you get stronger, just try and keep your shot a little bit more up and down in the same spot. All right, let's turn our attention to the grip on the basketball. Pretty good, especially for somebody your age. The one thing I kind of notice is that space in between your elbow and your side. I want you to try and really focus on pinning your elbow against your side, which ultimately is going to change the angle of your fingers. Right now your fingers kind of across the target line there, and then we want to get the fingers a little bit more pointed at the target. When your fingers are across the target line, that just means that you're not going to be pushing the middle of the ball throughout the throughout your shot, and so you're going to have two things, two negative things happening. Let me draw this for you. So there's our basketball. If we end up with our finger along that line, then you start off pushing the middle of the ball as you start to snap your wrist, and then you end up over on the right side of the ball, and because you're pushing the right side of the ball's going to go to the left. Then you need something else to push the ball to the right to cancel that first move out. We want to try and get, there's the basketball again, the fingers parallel to that target line, so that all the way through that wrist snap you're pushing the middle of the ball, and the ball's always being pushed towards the target. So right now, at the very beginning of your shot, you're a little across the line, and that's fine. We don't have to be in a great position here because we're not actually starting to shoot. We're starting to lift. The problem is, as you look here, let me even go back. Now you're into the beginning of your shot. That's kind of where the basketball is. This is where your hand is with your fingers along that line. So your hand is over on this side of the ball, pushing the ball that direction. Your guide hand is going to have to push, and we can see that it has. And so now we've got two hands each pushing the ball away from the hoop, rather than trying to get that one hand that's pushing the ball towards the hoop. That's ultimately what we're after. So we need to learn kind of around that set point to get the middle of our hand on the middle of the ball so that we can get our guide hand off the ball. So we're going to come back to that in a second here. Then you can see you've got one more variable where you've got shooting hand. And I guess it's really a continuation of that same variable. Your shooting hand pushes across the ball and ends up creating a whole bunch of energy going that direction. And then you can see it's trying to snap back there, and the guide hand's trying to push there. Just a little too complicated. It's what young players do. It's what just about everybody your age does, and you're actually probably better than most for doing it. But it's the habit that we have to start to break as we get into this habit. The next thing, a small thing that's going to help you with that, don't grip the ball so wide with your guide hand thumb. You're really putting that guide hand in a position to push with that thumb. And like you're almost loading that guide hand thumb up to start to push the back of the ball. We might, your head's probably going to block it, but we might be able to see that on the view from behind. We've got to kind of leave that thumb in a more neutral position, get the guide hand on the side of the ball, and then start to release it from the ball so that the shooting hand can push towards the target with one variable. All right, so we talked about the set point. The set point is the transition in between the lifting motion and then the shooting motion. Okay, so your set point kind of occurs right around there. And this is the shape of your arm. Now there's good things about that. We're starting to get like a diamond shape. But ultimately what we want to try and have happen at the set point is to be in more of a square shape. And young players tend to have their hand a little bit more on the back of the basketball and the ball down around their chin because they're trying to generate so much forward energy. Young players like to shoot the ball from far away before they're physically strong enough to shoot the ball from far away with good arc. So they sacrifice the arc to get the distance, and then we have to learn how to get both as you get stronger. So from that position, like this is really good. We just want to continue lifting the ball through a set point where you're looking underneath it. Okay, you never really get to looking underneath the ball. Well, I guess you do just as you're releasing here. So you are trying to generate decent arc. You're just not in a great position to be able to do it. From here, I want you to continue lifting the ball. Just think of like a tube that the ball has to kind of stay in. Like that, and you're trying to lift the ball within that tube to get it above your eyes so that your hand can get underneath the basketball. Your hand only gets underneath the ball at that last minute, and you're generating a lot of forward momentum. We need to get underneath the ball a little earlier, a little more before we start shooting the ball, and then pushing up and forward from there instead of mostly forward. So you can see that set point. We just want to keep your legs down here a little longer, continue to lift, keep the ball moving up a little higher underneath it, and then your legs and your elbow fire together. You can see there's a great frame. There's a basketball. There's your index finger. So we're going to end up over on that right side, just enough that we're pushing the ball that direction. It doesn't take much, and so then you need that guide hand to be pushing to get the ball going back that way. You can see even earlier. So this is really where you're well into your shooting motion because we learned the set point is right around here. And you can see at this moment, there's the basketball, and your finger's way over on that side. We want it to be right there. And this is something I get really picky about. Like, you're going to look at that and go, oh, I'm close. And you are, especially for somebody your age. But this little difference is going to be huge in your consistency. If you can get the middle of your hand on the middle of the basketball, then you can get your guide hand off. If you can't, you can't. So I'm going to recommend, I would go to one of my shot development systems, pure release to start. See, well, here, watch your feet there, and now we're starting to get a little turn and a little bit of a lean. We just got a few things, a few little things that are generating this, some energy away from the hoop, okay? And you're pretty good for them. We just need to get better. Whereas a lot of players your age, they're way more out of position than you are. And so you've done great to this point. We just have to continue to refine and get better. So go to CoachDaveLove.com/store and look for Pure Release. I think that'll be the program that I'd recommend for you. Pure Release on CoachDaveLove.com/store. Good luck.